Yes, sir. We are live and direct. We're back, man. This is the Eric Crocker Show. Renaming things just a little bit. Excited to talk some 49er football with you. We got Trey Lance. We got Brock Purdy. We got Sam Darnold. Brandon Aiyuk. Edge rushers. Is that an issue for the San Francisco 49ers? We're going to get into all of that and more. I see everybody going live right now in the chat, man. And gosh, I think it's been a little too long. I am excited to have this newer version of the podcast because there is a podcast element to this. It'll be live on any streaming platform that y'all listen to. But first and foremost, I don't know if we should start with saying like welcome back to me, but welcome back to y'all. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Welcome back. All right, we're clapping it up. I want to get straight into it. And there's a lot to talk about, and I'm not going to get into Trey Lance's hair. All right, so don't if y'all want to talk about his hair, I've seen it all on the on the platforms. But I will say this: I think as long as I can remember, as far back as I can remember, and probably a lot of y'all, I think a lot of your family members, your mom, your dad, your grandparents, they always said you are the company you keep. And I think when we're young, we kind of we want our friends to be whoever we want our friends to be. So whatever crew you hang out with or whatever, but ultimately you kind of end up being more like them, right? And if you kind of go back and look at it, there might be a few scenarios where maybe that wasn't quite the case, but definitely, man. I mean, that's probably one of the things early on that I remember my mom saying the most. And I was hanging out with a certain group of guys, and I see things happening, getting beat up, stabbed, shot, all kind of wild stuff. I'm like, maybe I don't want to hang out with them. My friends that I gravitated the most, shout out to my guy Jeremiah, Dana, Abel, uh, John, all my guys that I grew up with. I think when I look back and I see all the things that we did, man, we all played college football. We all went to universities, right? Some of us had pro football opportunities, but I ended up being more like them or more like that group of guys. And as I get older, I think it's even more evident. There's some people that is like, hey man, like I can be cool with you from a distance, but maybe don't hang out as much because we're really not on the same thing. I'm trying to elevate, right? I hang out with my guy Malik Matthews all the time. We went to college together as well. And Malik, he's doing big things, but our conversations are really good. So I want to start by saying you are the company you keep. And I want to bring that full circle, all right? Because I listen or I watch highlights, clips of Trey Lance throwing the football. And it's like, well, who's he throwing the football with? And it's Patrick Mahomes. And you see Trey throwing with Mahomes, and I think some people just see like, oh, he's working out with him. But the way I've always looked at it is you are the company you keep. So why is that beneficial for Trey Lance? Obviously, we understand the ramifications of just this offseason for Trey Lance, man. This is a huge offseason for the kid and what he's trying to do. I mean, ultimately, the team, the players, it's like, hey, man, this is Brock Purdy's team kind of right now. So you got to be lights out to try to surpass him. And I don't even know if there's anything that he can do in the offseason that will surpass what we watched Brock Purdy do in the 7, 8 games that he played and started in. He was really good. He ran the offense efficiently. We'll get more into Brock Purdy, but ultimately, let's stay on Trey for a second and look at where we believe Trey ultimately kind of like needs to get better. And how do you do it? And I think it starts by surrounding yourself with people like Patrick Mahomes, picking his brain, seeing how he throws the ball, asking him, man, how'd you do that? Or how'd you know how to do that? And the more you're around people that are doing things at a very high level, you start to do those same things. I mean, just think about it. Anything that y'all have done, right? Anything. And look at the people that were around you when you were doing it. And see if there's a coincidence there that maybe those people that were elevating you, motivating you on, were on the same thing. And when I look at Trey Lance, a guy that has all the physical tools and talent in the world, he has the smarts, he has the work ethic, he has all that. A lot of it is just knowing or not knowing. And you only know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. But it definitely helps when you surround yourself with someone like, I don't know, somebody by the name of Patrick Mahomes. So I think that's something that will be really big for Trey Lance, just continuing to surround himself and be in the company of guys like that that do things at an extremely high level to just kind of understand how does he do it, why does he do it, what's going through his mind, continue to pick his brain. Because ultimately, this is a very big make or break season as far as for the 49ers and Trey Lance. And we'll get into maybe potential trades and things like that. All right. But what are the pros and cons of one, this offseason for him? All right. Again, I started off by saying I think it's kind of Brock Purdy's team. That's what it feels like, right? You hear the guys talk about it, the Debo Samuels or the George Kittles, and we hear our general manager John Lynch and obviously head coach Kyle Shanahan and kind of what they're saying, and they use the term he's the leader in the clubhouse, right? And I didn't really know what that meant, but my guy Brian Peacock, shout out to Brian Peacock, locked on 49ers myself, Brian Peacock 5 days a week. But Peacock broke it down. He's like, well, leader in the clubhouse, what I thought, and probably what a lot of y'all thought was that's he's the guy. He's the guy. He's the leader. That's who they look to. But really, it's kind of this different term. And I guess if you're not a golfer, you wouldn't know. But I guess leader in the clubhouse means it's just the guy that's ahead right now. And right now, clearly, Brock Purdy is ahead of Trey Lance. And the biggest opportunity that Trey Lance has for him is, well, Brock Purdy, you're hurt right now. You can't throw a football. So I have this entire offseason to try to instill some type of confidence in my coaches, in my teammates, and really have to blow them away. Is there a scenario where that happens? I would say maybe. Probably less likely, just because that's just really difficult to do, especially without doing it in an actual game. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit later on that aspect of it, right? Like just a guy that, will he get an opportunity in the games? Whether it's preseason, will Purdy start on the pup list or something like that, to where, oh man, like Trey, you actually have regular season games where you can try to win the job. And I think it's a small chance, but there is a legit opportunity there for him if he takes advantage of it. So we've seen guys for the 49ers maybe have opportunities, maybe not be in good graces, and then, okay, work his way back. And next thing you know, oh man, this is a guy that potentially is a long-term starter. And I think a guy that comes to my mind is like Deommodore Lenoir. If you guys remember, Deommodore Lenoir, like Trey Lance, but not like Trey Lance, but different scenarios. This isn't apples to apples, but he was a starter year one. And after a few games, they ended up going with like Josh Norman and Deommodore Lenoir. Did he even play for the rest of the year, his rookie year? It was weird, right? Like he started out the gate. Obviously, there was an injury to Jason Verrett. I think he got hurt against the Lions. So Lenoir got a crack at it, and he was able to start a few games. Well, it wasn't all great. He had his ups and downs, and then you just didn't see him again for a long time. And then the next season, cornerbacks go down. Mosley goes down, guys go down. It's like, all right, Lenoir, this is your opportunity. And he holds on to a spot. And I think at some times, there was some ups, there were some downs. Finished the season strong, but he had a legit opportunity. And we'll see right now. But if I had to look at a depth chart, which I do have a depth chart up here right now, Deommodore Lenoir is penciled in as a starter right now. Now, that doesn't mean much. All right, it doesn't mean much to be the starter right now. But he's penciled in as a starter. So there's just, in my eyes, I just see it. That's an opportunity. Now, I know a lot of y'all want to replace Deommodore Lenoir, but legit opportunity for him to try to, hey, can I be the guy at cornerback for the San Francisco 49ers? And when you look at Trey Lance, right now it's an opportunity. And you go out there, you do your best, and you see what happens. All the talent in the world, very immature in the sense of just playing. Lack of experience and having to learn on the fly. So I know we're going to talk a lot about that throughout the offseason, but I really want to get into this opportunity for Trey Lance. And I think the biggest thing that he's doing for himself right now is working with Patrick Mahomes, being on the field, again, being in the company of greatness. What does it look like? How is he throwing the ball? That's a big time opportunity for him and somebody for him to learn for himself. Could Trey Lance potentially get traded? And that's part of this, right? The pros and cons of the 49ers trading Trey Lance. I would say right now, most logically thinking people, if you're looking at it from the standpoint of the San Francisco 49ers, would say, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no way in hell you trade Trey Lance right now. Like, why would you? Right? You got Brock Purdy. He's coming off of a serious elbow surgery that, you would expect him to recover from. I think the 49ers do and most people do, but you never know. There's setbacks. When Trey Lance originally hurt his ankle, it was something that most people said with the timetable, he could potentially play in the playoffs. Well, what happened? Something was bothering him a little bit in the foot, and they had to go in there, clean something out a little bit, and next thing you know, it's like, he'll be full go by April, which he looks to be full go right now. But it was just a minor setback. And with this elbow, you hope that there's not a setback. But what if there is? And in that scenario, would that be a good idea to trade Trey Lance without knowing if there can potentially be a setback? All right. So I'll argue on both sides of the fence for this. Obviously, you brought in Sam Darnold. And there are people that really like Sam Darnold. And you look at Sam Darnold and what he's been in his career, and this is not me making excuses for Sam Darnold. This is also not me saying that Sam Darnold is going to be the greatest quarterback ever for the San Francisco 49ers. He was drafted number 3 overall, and guys that are drafted number 3 overall typically have a certain level of talent that other guys just don't. I would say just in ability, right? Because ability has nothing to do with like how well you will play. Right? Like that's all kind of other steps, like the mental aspect of it and things like that. But just off of ability, he's very athletic. He can definitely move. I mean, you watch the Carolina Panthers and some of these other teams that use him in the red zone as a rusher, doing read option and things like that. So he can do those things. As far as just pure arm talent, he does not have a bigger arm than Lance, but he has a bigger arm than Brock Purdy. All right, and the throws that he's able to make, the drive throws, the tight window throws, the arm angles, throws on the move, it is something that I think is better than the other quarterbacks on the 49ers roster. Again, that's including Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. Like, again, this is a guy that was drafted number 3 overall. So, of course, he has this type of talent. But he sucked. He was not good. All right, but Sam Darnold was not good. So if you're banking on, okay, I'm going to, trade away Trey Lance because, well, Brock Purdy will come back at some point and, if need be, if there is a setback, we could roll out there with Sam Darnold. Like that is risky. It is risky. Now I'm going to make excuses for Sam Darnold. All right. I think in his NFL career, he has mostly sucked. Why has he sucked? All right, now this is me. If I'm the San Francisco 49ers, all right, let's not even say that this is Eric Crocker. If I'm the San Francisco 49ers, and I see some people in the chat, I'm looking at the live chat right now, and if you're listening to the audio version, come over to YouTube, Eric Crocker on YouTube. We will be going live on this show. All right, but it's like I don't buy into the hype. I don't see the hype. There should not be any hype about Sam Darnold. So I don't know who y'all listening to, but there shouldn't be hype with Sam Darnold. All right. But I'm just going to tell you from the standpoint of like what is, like matter of facts. All right. Matter of fact, 3rd overall pick, a lot of talent, immense amount of talent. Like he had that. The arm angles, the throws, the things he could do, that's been there. Now, also matter of fact, some issues that he had. All right. If you go back even to early on at USC. All right. So how did he even get the job? Quarterback was playing against Alabama was ass. Whoever that starting quarterback was sucked. And that was the game where USC, I don't know if y'all remember, they came out like people were walking dogs and stuff like that. And then you got your ass kicked by Alabama. And they're like, this quarterback that we playing right now, kind of ass. He's cheeks. All right, so we're going to go to Sam Darnold, who's a redshirt freshman at the time. And Sam Darnold balled that year. He balled. And if anybody watched that Rose Bowl game against Penn State, I mean, it was like, well, okay, this guy's going to be a top pick next year. Like, it was very clear. Then he played the next year, and he lost some guys that people forget. All right, he lost Juju Smith-Schuster. He lost some offensive linemen. He lost Rodgers, the other receiver. And he kind of had to play this level of hero ball. Now, they still had a lot of success until they ran into Ohio State in the bowl game, got their ass kicked. All right, Sam Darnold running for his life the whole game. But it wasn't a great situation for a quarterback, right? Like, Sam Darnold plug him into like Ohio State, where if you watch like CJ Stroud right now or Bryce Young, like those guys are kind of chilling a little bit. Bryce Young, not as much this year. But those guys are kind of chilling in the pocket, making throws, all these weapons all over the place. Well, Sam didn't really have that. So it got a little skittish. He looked a little frenetic in the pocket, I would say, that last year at USC. Didn't see that the redshirt freshman year. Did see that the redshirt sophomore year. All right. So you continue to kind of watch him, and he goes to New York Jets. And that did not make things any better. Offensive line, trash. Weapons, trash. Robbie Anderson was good. And they were like, we're going to get rid of Robbie Anderson. Right? They had like a little rapport. And from there on, it just wasn't great. Everybody looks at Adam Gase as a terrible head coach. Good play caller when he's kind of focused on that. But when he's not, he has to focus on other things. It wasn't good. So is it Sam Darnold is the one that got Gase fired? Or was Gase kind of stunting the growth of a young guy who went to a terrible team, which a lot of times when you're drafted that high, you go to bad teams. And you watch him moving forward. All right, goes to the Carolina Panthers. Trash team. Trash. Now you have a couple weapons, but the situation, the offensive coordinator, it was like, I don't even say offensive coordinator, the head coach that came over from Baylor, all right, I didn't think that he was a great head coach. And he talked about it. Like, man, there's things I would do differently. All right. So that wasn't a great team. Then you watch him last year. They bring in Baker Mayfield. They're like, oh, Baker Mayfield, you're sorry. Okay, Sam Darnold, you're going to have to play. Sam Darnold, actually, after trading away his, best player that got traded to the San Francisco 49ers, they kind of started winning some games with Sam Darnold on quarterback. And you saw some of the things he can do. The good, the bad, the ugly, all that, right? Like, you got a chance to see all of it. And I wonder if the 49ers are looking at it this way as well. What would it look like if, you got Christian McCaffrey again to hand the ball off to and throw the ball out the backfield to him? What would it look like if you have, George Kittle, who can take a 5-yard pass and take it down the sideline 70 yards for a touchdown? We saw Deebo Samuel do it in the playoffs, right? Brock Purdy rolls left, hits a wide open Deebo Samuel 8 yards down the field, and he takes it 75 yards into the end zone, right? Like, what would it look like if he just had those guys? Oh, man, instead of whoever the hell you got guarding your blind side for the Carolina Panthers, now you got Trent Williams. So I am not saying that he will be good. He may very well suck and be what he's been throughout his career, which is a sorry-ass quarterback. If I'm him, I am looking to relish on this opportunity and make the most of it, right? Hey, I got all this talent. Now let me kind of come down, bring it down a little bit. I don't have to be so frenetic, and I can play ball. And I saw someone in the chat. Let me look at it. Sam Darnold is Alex Smith with a better arm, right? And I don't want to, say he'll end up being Sam Darnold, or Alex Smith. But if y'all remember, Alex Smith was trash, right? That's the same quarterback his rookie year that threw one touchdown and had 11 interceptions. Yes, you heard that right. 1 touchdown, 11 interceptions. 1 touchdown, 11 interceptions, Alex Smith. All right, not great. And bad teams, he's getting hurt, he's getting banged up, he's doing this. Didn't catch mono like Sam Darnold did, but not doing well. Not doing well. He sucked. And everybody, and I don't know, y'all probably forgot this, but he was getting benched for David Carr. He was getting benched for Smith. Can't even remember his first name. Troy Smith. The fans. You guys. The fans. Or whoever was at those games, which I went to a couple of those games, were chanting for Derek Carr. Derek Carr. We want Carr. We want Carr. When Alex Smith was your quarterback. I know y'all remember that. All right. So a year later, you get a guy like Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh says, look, we're going to get the most of all these guys. You don't even get a real offseason, but I want you to kind of structure an offseason for these guys while we're on strike. Come back. Hey, we're going to hand the ball off to Frankie Gore. We're going to pound the rock. We're going to throw it to Crabtree and Vernon Davis and these other guys. And all of a sudden, it's like, hey, Alex Smith is pretty good. He's winning a lot of games. And this was like, 7 years down the line? And then the next year, hey, he's pretty good. He's 7-1 at the time. And then, he gets hurt. And then in comes Colin Kaepernick. But then he goes to Kansas City and has some of the best years of his career, including the last year before Mahomes took over. Best year of his career. We weren't saying that 7 years into Alex Smith's career. So I say all that to say, look, I don't know what's going to happen with Sam Darnold. I think he sucks. He has sucked in the NFL. Why has he sucked? Maybe less than ideal situations. But can he overcome it? I think we'll see. I think we'll see. We'll see. I have zero expectations. I brought him up because if you do trade away Trey Lance and with whatever you can get, which I don't even know what his value would be right now, I would assume not very high, would it be worth it to risk Brock Purdy having any type of setback with his elbow, not being able to start off right away? I don't know. Now, let's talk about so that's kind of a con, right? There could be potentially a setback for Purdy, and then you have a guy like Sam Darnold who has to start the season for you. And I don't think most of the people in this chat will have much confidence in that. But let's say you keep him. You keep Trey Lance. What are the pros and cons of keeping Trey Lance? Well, one, you kind of end up in a situation, I feel like, man, and we talked about this earlier. It's an uphill battle for Lance, for sure. And I think from the jump, right, you come into a situation, you think, man, I get this team, have all these great weapons. Man, this is going to be awesome. They're like, not so fast. If you ain't ready to play right now, we got to win games because our head coach, Kyle Shanahan's coming off one winning season in 4 years. Super Bowl appearance, but one winning season in 4 years. Can't afford to go one winning season in 5 years. I think all of you agree, right? If Kyle had went one winning season in 5 years, how many people would be calling for his head? Hell, I think people are calling for his head regardless. So it was like, we kind of got to keep this Jimmy Garoppolo guy around. So they kept him around. And obviously he played well. What else kind of one of the worst things that could happen for Trey Lance? Again, for Trey Lance. Not for the 49ers, not for the fans. For Trey Lance. That was probably one of the worst things that could happen. Why? Because the expectations now are much different than when you were coming off a 6-win season. Now we're talking about, hey, you were a couple plays away from being in the NFC Championship game. And maybe I think a lot of people would say a dropped interception by Tart. I'm not going to put all on Tart. I'm not. I love Tart. But a lot of people, that was kind of a Pontiac game-changing performance. I don't know if a lot of you watch college football, but they used to have the Pontiac game-changing performance. All right, that drop right there, game-changing. It was. Really like Tart, good player. Anyways, you were a drop pick or a couple of plays away from being in the Super Bowl again. So Trey Lance, now you got big shoes to fill. Like the heat was on. The heat was on all offseason. Can you do it? Can you do this? And you have some ups and downs in practice. And regardless, you're going against the number one defense in the NFL, which we found out, right? Some teams did struggle against 49ers passing the ball. Obviously, Trey Lance, inexperience, did in practice. But you go down week 2, you get hurt. You break your ankle. And it just sucks. It just sucks. It's like bad luck because the worst part of it for Trey Lance, not for the 49ers and not for Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy comes in and he plays very well. And he does what's asked of him. And even more sometimes when he need to make a play. So then now it's like, Trey Lance, what do we do with you? Well, if I'm Trey Lance, I want to compete. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say all the good things. I want to compete. Nah, dude. What really needs to happen is you need to be traded. You need to be traded for yourself, for you, so that you can go somewhere and have that opportunity to just play and become the best version of you without having to look over your shoulder because there's a Brock Purdy and, without, George Kittle like me. You don't got to worry about none of that. Get traded to another team. The issue is he has no pull. He has no say-so in this situation. He just has to go out there and compete and hope that there is a team that likes him enough to trade for him, which I don't know what the 49ers would get, and I think they would want to ask a lot. All right. But for him, the pro is just getting the opportunity. Purdy's hurt. I have a chance to go out there and just really light it up. And if you go out there and light up, I'll say this. People's opinions can change pretty damn fast. I mean, we've seen that, right? We've seen how fast opinions can change. People's opinions can change. And if he goes out there in OTAs and he's lighting it up, and it's just OTAs, then he goes out there in training camp and he's just lighting it up, people's opinions will start to change. And there's Trey Lance is starting to be what they drafted him to be. It's like, well, of course, it's a third overall pick in experience. It's hard to do that, though. You got to light it up, and I think that's the hard part. So we're going to continue to monitor that situation for all three of those guys, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy coming back from his injury, and Sam Darnold. But that's going to be pretty fun. Before we get into Brandon Aiyuk, I want to say shout out to everybody listening. Again, this will be a podcast as well as our live show, the Eric Crocker Show. You can find it on any streaming platform that you listen to your audios. This is the first episode of that. As always, the show is powered and sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. If you're into Underdog fantasy sports, football, baseball, basketball, they got best ball. They got the lines with the higher and lowers. If you think a guy's gonna, have more points, you got the NBA playoffs coming up right now. Go Lakers, go Lakers. But you got the NBA playoffs coming up, and hey man, is LeBron gonna score more or less than 28 points? And you just put more or less, and boom, or higher and lower, boom, and combine that with some other guys and make you some money. So go to Underdog Fantasy right now. Download the app or go to underdogfantasy.com. Use promo code Crocky, and they'll match your deposit up to $100. So if you put $100 in, they'll give you $100. Put $50 in, they'll give you $50 on top of it, right? If you put $200 in, they still you get capped out at $100, but you got a lot to play with. So feels good to be back. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. I see everybody going up. I see everyone's opinions in the chat. I do want to get to Brandon Aiyuk now. All right. So let's get to Let's get to Brandon Aiyuk. All right, Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk. I think we should start by asking, what is he? All right, what is Brandon Aiyuk? Is he a true wide receiver one? Because a lot of the comments, when I'm listening or looking at the comments on Locked On 49ers, like, man, you can't trade him. You can't trade Brandon Aiyuk. That's your wide receiver one. It's like, is he though? And I'm not saying he's not. I think when people say that, they're thinking pure, like your purest wide receiver. Like your purest, and I would say he is that. But in the sense of usage, and he even said as such, he said, man, I just went over 1,000 yards in an offense where I'm the fourth option. So I get we want to say he's wide receiver one, but he is the fourth option in the offense, in a run-heavy offense. What do we mean by fourth option? I mean, George Kittle's probably going to get the ball before him a lot of times, right? If George Kittle's healthy, he's going to get his targets. Deebo Samuel's going to get the ball. Whether they're throwing the ball to him downfield, which is very rare, but they will get the ball in his hand. So just in the sense of targets, right? Like we are talking about a guy who had a 1,400 yard season receiving. All right, so he's going to get his looks. He's higher on the totem pole than Brandon Aiyuk. And then now you got Christian McCaffrey. And Christian McCaffrey's going to get his targets as well. So although you may view Brandon Aiyuk as the purest receiver and in turn label him a wide receiver one on the 49ers, he is the fourth option. He's the fourth option. That's including the run game. So when I say Christian McCaffrey, we'll talk about Christian McCaffrey as a runner and as a pass catcher, right? Like that is just going to be an option before you get to Brandon Aiyuk. So where does he fit in? Like, what is he? And I look at him and I think he's a high level two. A high level two. All right. And I think there are other guys that have really good seasons that are high level twos, right? Like think of Tyler Boyd for Cincinnati Bengals. And before all these other guys showed up, right? Before the T. Higgins, before the Jamar Chases, like Tyler Boyd was a 1,000-yard receiver multiple times. Multiple times. He's having back-to-back 1,000-yard receiver season. And then you bring in, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and it kind of changes things, but he's still getting jiggy. He's still out there balling. All right. But you look at Aiyuk, and I think on any team, he can really complement a wide receiver one, right? Kind of like Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith might not be the purest wide receiver one, but he is a legit strong wide receiver two. We're talking about somebody that just had over 1,200 yards in another offense that's heavy in the run game. All right, so I try to look at what he is in areas where I think he can improve. I think as like a true contested catch guy, right? That guy where it's just like, I know he's down there somewhere. I'm just going to throw the ball up. Right? And I trust him to come down with it. I don't think he's that guy. I think that he can improve run after catch, right? Just a guy that just makes guys miss and up, I'm out of here, right? That was something I thought would be very strong for him coming out of college. Haven't quite seen it. But what I do see is a very consistent receiver who knows how to get open. He's going to whoop guys. He's going to destroy guys. He catch touchdowns. I think he's a strong wide receiver too. Strong wide receiver too. I see G Crackhawk and he says, BA goes to the Chargers. He's a 1,600-yard receiver, 14 touchdown release. I think he's a legit 1,300-yard guy. You make him the focal point of your offense. I don't know if he's a 1,600-yard guy. I think he just has to be, in my opinion, one, better at contested catches and then better at run after catch. And if you can do those things, then, yeah, he could be a 1,600-yard receiver. But, like, think about how Debo got his 1,400 yards. Great run after catch. And he actually made some contested catches as well. Tight coverage. Kind of has to because he hasn't really created a whole lot of separation. All right. But I look at Brandon Aiyuk, and it's very clear that some things are about to happen. I don't know how much the 49ers expected Debo to have that 1 year that he did. That was almost 1,800-yard season, 14 touchdowns, went crazy in the playoffs. I don't know if they were expecting that. Because if you are, why do you draft a receiver first round in the following year? If you're expecting, or actually the year that it happened, right? Or was it the following year? Whatever. You guys know. Kind of make that timeline however you can. But do you draft a receiver in the first round high if you expect, or not high, but late in the first round, but a high draft pick, if you expect Deebo Samuel to have the season they did, to where now we got to pay this dude Deebo Samuel. And then we know if Aiyuk ends up being who we believe he is, a really good receiver, well, you're going to have to pay him too. So with the 49ers, what do you do? Now, you paid Deebo because you had to. He had a great year. He's holding out, doing all that stuff. And now Aiyuk, you can maybe have a plan for, well, Debo, it's kind of a 3-year contract, and, we can kind of prolong things with Brandon Aiyuk by, he plays that 4th year. We pick up his 5th-year option. He plays the 5th-year option. By then, the salary cap, will be higher or whatever, and I think because of that, there's an opportunity where we can eventually kind of we can pay both of them for 1 year, then get rid of him, or we can backload his contract, and now they're cheaper, then we can get rid of Debo. But it's like a lot that you have to worry about. So, why not trade him? Why not trade him? And I really like Brandon Aiyuk. This is not me. Anything that I say on here, it's not a emotional thing that I'm saying. Or it's not this is, you got to do this. You know me, I'm not like a hot take shot artist type guy. That's not me. But just logically thinking because of this situation. Even when they drafted him, I'm like, it's interesting. Right? And then now you look at it and it's like, hey, man, this is a real thing. And I would say right now, I don't think Brandon Aiyuk's trade value will be any higher than it is today. A guy that had a 1,000-yard season as the 4th option in an offense, a guy that essentially you get to control him for 2 more years because you have this year and the 5th-year option, right? I think that warrants a first-round pick. I don't think that his value would get any better. Matter of fact, if he goes out there next year and has a 700-yard season, and then you still got to pick up his 5th-year option, like now you're starting to pay him. I think getting his value as far as what you can get in a trade starts to go down a little bit. Now maybe he has another great year. We'll see. As a 4th option, I think 1,000-yard receiver as a 4th option is a great year. But right now, in the sense of the value, would y'all trade him right now, straight up, for a first-round pick? So I'm going to look at the draft order, and Peacock and I actually looked at this. And let me look at NFL draft order, because I think we landed on the 25th pick in the draft. I'm looking it up right now. Who has the 25th pick? Because I think that's where Peacock was saying. All right, but whoever the 25th pick is, would you, right now, all of y'all, trade Brandon Aiyuk for the 25th pick? So who has the 25th pick? New York Giants. There you go. So he would essentially be the New York Giants wide receiver 1. I mean, who do they have? I know they got Wan'Dale Robinson. They got my guy Isaiah Higgins. Shout out to Isaiah. I might be able to get Zay on here. But the guy Isaiah Hodgins, excuse me. Wan'Dale, Isaiah. Shoot, is that it? Sterling Shepard? He's hurt, though. He's coming off another ACL. So, he go there and be the man. First of all, if I'm Brandon Aiyuk, send me Send me to New York so I can get these targets, please. All right, if I'm Brandon Aiyuk, right? Hey, I want these targets, man. Now he might say all the right things like I want to be a Niner forever, but send me to New York so I can get these targets. All right, become a 1,400 yard receiver. But he immediately becomes their wide receiver one. And with that 25th pick in the draft, 49ers, and I see Chris Wall here, he says, obviously, Richie James is their wide receiver one. See what I'm saying? That would be a great spot. If I'm the Giants, like, I make the phone call. Do I have a phone call thing on here? That's the air horn, but we're gonna act like that air horn right there. We're gonna act like that's John Lynch calling the New York Giants, Dable and those guys calling the 49ers. All right. They're calling the 49ers and they're like, look, we'll give you a second. Like, nah, bro, we don't want a second. When is the next pick for the Giants? Let's see. Hold on. Is it another? So 57? All right, so they got pick 57 and they got pick 25. So, hey, we'll give you pick 57 for Brandon Aiyuk. Click, hanging up. All right. I'm serious this time. I'll give you 25th overall pick for Brandon Aiyuk. You don't got to worry about paying him. You get to free up some money that you're going to eventually have to pay. You don't got to pick up his fifth-year option. We get 2 years with him before we have to really pay him. Now you got an opportunity to maybe get a right tackle, left tackle. Hell, you guys got 11 picks. Maybe you could trade some of those late-round picks, move up a little bit, get you an offensive tackle. Maybe get you a guy that is, kind of a long-term guy to eventually replace an aging Trent Williams, who's still playing at an extremely high level. Or, hey, man, y'all can keep Aiyuk and just roll out there with Colton McKivitz at right tackle. I don't know about that. So, here we go. But, Croc, if we traded BA, what receiver would get to match his production? That's a great question. I would say that the 49ers, I don't think they care. Not in the sense, obviously you want production, but the way that Kyle Shanahan calls plays, you got games where George Kittle, first of all, this is the same team. Now, George Kittle had 205 receiving yards in the first half of a game. And they didn't throw the ball to him in the second half. Like, he had 0 catches in the second half. Kyle, for whatever reason, however he thinks in his head to call plays, he does not care about, like, feeding a guy. So if it's not, he had a game with Richie James, where Richie James had 9 catches for 170 yards. So where is that production going to come from? Look, I don't know. But I do know one thing. I don't think Kyle really cares. If he can just get a receiver that's aggressive, physical, will block, and ain't no punk, he'll be like, all right, I like him. There's Danny Gray. Danny Gray is not Brandon Aiyuk. And we'll talk about that. But I don't know. The Brandon Aiyuk stuff is very interesting because I really like him. Pure receiver, probably best on the 49ers. Value, very high right now with 2 years left on his contract. Obviously that's including the 5th-year option. Potentially get a first-round pick for him. I think you legit can because of that. But his value won't be – this is the highest his value would be. So I'm interested to see how that whole thing plays out. I don't foresee them trading. Again, it's always easy to kind of throw these out, and it's always easy to shut it down. That will never happen. Yes, that will. 49ers traded away DeForest Buckner. If you trade away Buckner, who is like your best player on defense, who is like the leader of the team, everything that you draft a guy in the top 10 to be, DeForest Buckner was that leader. No off-field issues. All he wants to do is like go train in Hawaii or whatever. He got his chick and they're getting married and all that. Like, he's the leader. He's great, right? He just came off a year where he had 12 sacks or whatever it was. And you trade him, anybody can get traded. Anybody on the 49ers get traded. So the easy thing to say, they will never trade Aiyuk. Yeah, all right. They will never trade DeForest Buckner. Deuces, DeForest. He was out of there. And now I ain't saying that that's the right thing to do. I'm just telling you, he was out of there. All right, man. I was hoping to talk about defensive line, but I think right now for the rest of this show, I am going to put in the link in the chat. Y'all could come on live, man, and discuss the things that you want to discuss, whether it's something we have talked about right now, whether it is about my Lakers and how they're about to make a run. I got to troll Warrior fans, man. I love y'all Warrior fans. I got to troll y'all. But Yeah, I guess until somebody does click in, until somebody does click in, we will kind of go over some of the defensive line, like things I think is an issue, and it is kind of that edge rushing position. Now, as I look into it, and you know what, we'll get back to this. I'm gonna bring my guy DeSean on. All right, so DeSean, how you doing, man?
Congratulations, young brother. How's it going, man?
Oh man,
Big
it's going
Bow.
good. It's
Man, I was just sitting back there and I was thinking, man, we sitting here looking at all these scenarios that go on, man, and I'm just thinking, man, we if we trade Trey Lance, we'd be a total bozo move right now.
oh, you think so?
I think it's a knee jerk reaction that we all are having. Every time we passed up Patrick Mahomes, we passed up we passed up Brady, all these quarterbacks we passed up. And if the kid go out there and he balls, and Brock Purdy ends up not being who we think he is, it's gonna be a total bozo move.
Well, okay, let's start with this though, DeSean. Who do you think Brock Purdy is?
I think he's a good quarterback. He has timing and feel for this particular offense. But I look at him as, I don't know if he's a franchise quarterback that can move the needle, because everything is good when you're making less money, but when you got to get him 100 million, 40 million a
Mm.
year, you start having to lose weapons. Is Does the guy physically have it to does he physically have the ability to raise a team up without having a Christian McCaffrey or this or that? Because when you're talking about a franchise quarterback, to me, I don't see that many. I see Patrick Mahomes, I see Josh Allen, I see Joe Burrow. These are all quarterbacks that have that ability to raise their team up. I look at our situation as, we have, and I give credit to another person who said that, we have steady Eddies. He's steady. He's he's consistent at doing the little things, the little things. He's consistent at doing that. He can make one or two throws, but I just don't want to make another knee jerk reaction as we did with Jimmy Garoppolo. Pay this guy a lot of money or give this guy the keys. I think the greatest thing that we have is competition. Competition breeds greatness. So I think that it should be, let's put these balls out. Let's go see them. Let's go see them. All these quarterback ball, and let the best man win. It flabbergasts me that, to think that a lot of people argue for uh, Sam Darnold not having weapons, and then come here and have all these weapons. They're going to make him better, but yet Trey Lance is not supposed to be better with these weapons.
Well, I think with Trey Lance. I mean, we watched him in his offense, and listen. I'm one. I don't think it's nearly as bad with Trey Lance as a lot of people. Like when I look at him, and we can kind of break it all down, but uh, obviously you would like to see more consistency. But yeah, again, the Texans are the Texans, but he played very well and he
Mm.
did all the things that you want to see. And then you go in, and next time we see him live was a preseason game against the Green Bay Packers where he completed 4 out of 5 passes and threw a 75-yard touchdown pass. Whereas, like, again, you're seeing him do some of the things that you want him to do. And then it was a little weird when he played against the Houston Texans in the regular season. He's kind of running for his life. That's why when people talk about Colt McKivitz and any of these other guys, I think Jalen Moore or whatever, I'm like, listen, I watched that preseason game, and that dude was ass. Like, I don't want him protecting Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold. I don't want him protecting none of my quarterbacks. Maybe it starts to look different when you have everybody on the whole line, all right?
And
But
I got a few
go ahead.
little about, when we talk about Sam Darnold being the third pick in overall. What we need to do is think back then. Remember that the quarterback class coming out wasn't strong. It wasn't a strong class. So sometimes them dudes are going third overall because these are the only options we have.
It
Now,
was kind of strong. I mean, it depends on how people view, right? Because there were some people, a lot of people, I think, up until maybe a week before the draft, thought like Josh Allen might be the number 1 overall pick, and obviously he didn't go number 1. That he went number 7 or something. You had Lamar Jackson, where people were trying to figure out when will he go, but you need the talent. Now you got to sprinkle in Josh Rosen in there because people were like, oh, he's the most pro-ready quarterback, and his whole situation was really weird. Baker Mayfield, for all the flack that he gets. I mean, the Cleveland Browns went to the playoffs fairly soon after him being a starter, maybe like year 2 or so. And I mean, when was the last time Cleveland Browns went to the playoffs? So I think overall, like that class, I think even heading into it, the way it was viewed was, hey man, this is a solid QB class. Oh, Josh Allen was the wild card. I think really the ones that ended up being the best, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson were probably the two wild cards because Josh Allen was like, oh, a lot of talent. Who you gonna get? And it's like, hey, I can be great. And then Lamar Jackson is like, well, you should be playing receiver or running back. And it's like, no, I'm a quarterback, and I'm actually gonna win NFL MVP unanimously.
And another thing that get me excited about Trey is is development. Anybody who had to develop in a job understand the way the process happens.
Mm.
Some people come out and they just great, and then some people have to do the Kobe Bryant thing, miss a couple shots, go in
Mm.
to get their game right, and work on the little things. What I can see about Trey, if I'm gonna bet on someone, I want to know he's a hard worker. I want to know that he looks at the little things. I want to know that he has it up in here. Now, I believe we have a good problem. It is a good problem to have two quarterbacks that want it, that can develop, that can do this. I don't see anybody complaining when you had Steve Young and Joe Montana. I don't see nobody complaining when you had
Oh, I gotta stop you there
I got
because I think right now, as it right now, maybe you could try to compare the situations, but nobody would compare like what those
not,
two quarterbacks like with. Yeah, it's like, oh man, we got Joe Montana, and then they're kind of trying to replace him with Steve Young, but Joe Montana already won 4 Super Bowls, so it's like it's a little different.
I was gonna
Like, you know what I'm
I was
saying? But
gonna go to Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees. When you have two potentially good quarterbacks that can end up being great, it's a great problem to have. That's all I'm saying. So all we gotta do is sit back and just look. Brock Purdy is the leader in the clubhouse right now. I'll give that to him. But we just unfortunately, I wouldn't just say, oh, this man's the guy, forever franchise guy. I'm doing everything right now, because one thing both of these quarterbacks have not proven is that they can do an 18-game season.
right, and gotta see it, man. DeSean, appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna get to the next caller. Thank you.
God bless you, brother.
All right, all right. Shout out to my guy DeSean. That was awesome, man. Again, man, if y'all want to come on, here's the link right here. We'll be on live for another 10 minutes. Again, if you did miss some of this show, you can either rewatch it on YouTube. So make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff, or you can listen to the audio version, which will be updated shortly after this. All right, good conversations here. This open conversation, man. Y'all know how we do. Man, we come on. It's not about I want to be right or I want to be hot takey. It's just, man, let's just have an open conversation with me and y'all. Let's go. And we got my guy Shunter Boy back in
What's
here,
going on,
man.
bud? You're back.
I am back, and I'm back for good this time. I'm back for good, man. I had to take care of some things, with my gym and making sure everything's good and running and getting
Sure.
to a structure, and it took a while. It took a while, but we are here. We
Hey,
are
you
here,
use that time to get yourself some production value, and it's amazing. You got all sides of sounds now, and
man.
you like
You hear? I got
you're like a real gangster back there with your blood.
the.
Hey, I guess that's what you get when you're the fan vote as the best doing this for the 49ers. Beating out guys like Mayoko and beating out guys like Grant Cohn.
Listen, okay, hold on.
Number one.
I forgot to mention that. I wanted to come on here and mention it, and I'm worried about this music and all this other stuff over here, and it kind of threw me off. I don't even think I introduced myself to start the show, and that this is technically the Eric Crocker show, not the morning show. But anyways,
Yeah.
I will say this about that. For me, at first, I'm just like, come on, man. There's so many people that do
Yep.
way more for the 49ers community than I do.
Don't sell
But
yourself short.
well,
This
hold on.
platform does a lot.
It does. This
Sorry.
platform is awesome, but like just and I'm back doing it now. But when they were voting on that, I wasn't doing this show, this YouTube show, and I look at all the work that these other people do, and they're traveling, they're doing all these things, and Mayoko, Barrows, this guy's been doing it for years, and hate him or love him, Grant Cohn, the platform that he has, and I ended up being kind of me versus him in the finals. But at first, I'm like, I'm not really worthy of being voted this, but then I started to look at it from a different perspective. And I'm like, you got to bring the show back. Because at the end of the day, all this means is no matter what you're doing, no matter what, the fans really mess with you. And from now, I'm
Yep.
like, okay, we're gonna get back. And I started
Yep.
talking about with my boy Chris, and he kind of helped me with some things to make sure that we got this up and running. But that was awesome. Shout out to everybody that voted. I mean, it was like, well, I don't know, 2 million people that voted or something like that. And
Crazy.
ultimately, out of, I don't know, 45, 50 guys, however many guys it was, I ended up being voted
Top of the mountain.
the number one media person. And again, I felt like at the time, I mean, I'm not worthy of that, but it just showed me, man, y'all really rock with me, and it meant a lot. That part, like, I don't care about the number one, but to me, it was just like, man, they really rock with me, and
Yeah.
I mess with that. So again, I appreciate you kind of pointing that out. I
Yeah,
forgot
for
to
sure.
mention
Of course, man.
it. Yeah.
So as far as the Trey Lance thing goes, okay, so they're not going to trade him unless a very specific set of circumstances happen. One, Sam Darnold turns out to be really good in their system, like through training camp, OTAs, and all that stuff, because at the end of the day, Sam Darnold is Trey Lance insurance.
Yeah.
That he has a similar skill set, so on and so forth. I mean, the pick slot, I don't care about where people get picked. It matters for a year or two. After that, it doesn't really matter. Ask Josh Rosen. So
Josh,
so
he found out. Josh Rosen found out within
real
a
quick.
year. I mean, he was drafted number 10 overall. Then next year they're like,
And gone.
We're gonna go with this guy named Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and so the thing with Trey Lance is the hype is real, because when you look at a guy that has all this talent, right? And I'm gonna okay, Jamarcus Russell, right? Why didn't that work? Because they handed him a tape or a playbook or something, and like put $100 bill in the back of it. He obviously didn't read it because he didn't know there's $100 bill in there, right?
What
Like,
happened. That's
he's
not
not
what happened.
putting in the work.
What happened was and he even said it too. They gave him a blank disc and asked him.
Oh, that's right.
And he's
like, oh yeah,
on I Am Athlete podcast, but they gave him a blank disc, said go study it. Then they asked him, did you study it? And he's like, yeah, but it wasn't nothing on there. So
correct, yeah.
Clearly, he wasn't doing the work. So, and I think that's part of it, right? When people look at guys that are bust, you have to look at the circumstances, the situations, like who that guy is. And
There's more to it.
Dig deep enough, you can find out. Trey Lance might end up being a bust just because it was like, hey, the things that he needed to work on, he just couldn't catch up to it fast enough at the NFL level, and that could very well be, and that would be the reason why, as opposed to his work ethic, smarts, or ability. Those things won't be the issue. It would be he can't catch up to where he needs to be fast enough with his lack of experience.
The gap is just too big.
Like that. Would
and at a certain point, yeah. So I'm not trying to like hate on Jamarcus Russell. I was just trying to kind of make the example that like all the talent in the world isn't enough if you can't do like the everyday regular things that it takes to be successful at anything, especially at something as a high level and elite as being an NFL quarterback. So what I look for with Trey Lance, and the thing that I'm still kind of waiting on is, so there's two things I always look for with quarterbacks on whether or not I think that they're going to be good or bad or whatever, is number one, how well do they make decisions when everything changes, right? So when you have to, like when you scramble and there's just an open guy, that's one thing. But when the pocket breaks down or the play breaks down and you have to go to a second, third, fourth read, it's not about if you can, it's how quickly do you recognize that's not going to work. I need to go here instead. And do you know where to go? That's like a critical element of playing quarterback, is just being able to change your mind and know what to change your mind to. And then I think Trey Lance does that okay, but I don't think that's going to improve without reps. And I think that goes to your point of like, there's kind of a gap there. And if he doesn't get the time, and if he doesn't get enough reps and so on and so forth in real life bullet situations, he may not develop that part to be able to reach his ceiling. And the other thing is, the best quarterbacks, all of them, there are no exceptions. The best quarterbacks make the easy plays and the simple reads look simple and easy. You cannot be a quarterback who makes an easy play look hard.
Right.
Okay. And a good example of that, Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson does all sorts of spectacular things, but he can't make the simple basic play consistently.
Real.
He can't just drop back, hit it, and move on to the next play. Take the easy stuff, 5 yards, let's go. And Trey Lance, I feel like if he can come out and show in this offseason that he can make the simple stuff look simple, he can make the easy throws look easy, that is going to be, I think that's kind of what they're looking for is, can you just do that? We know you can do. We've seen it.
Yeah.
You can do this awesome stuff. Because I think Kyle Shanahan, I don't know why there's so much controversy around what Kyle Shanahan is looking for. He's made it very, very clear what he wants. He wants a player who can make 2 or 3 plays a game when the play is wrong. When Kyle Shanahan gets it wrong and he calls a bad play against this coverage, can the quarterback make a special play? Right? It doesn't have to happen all the time. But before you get to that, you have to be able to make the other 90% of the plays that are the easy stuff when he does dial it up. Because he does that as well as anybody. So I don't think the issue with Trey Lance is his ability. It's obviously not character and stuff like that. It's, can he develop to the point where he can do the easy stuff consistently? And that's really the only question mark. And if he can show that in the offseason, he will get a legitimate shot to take that starting job back. Because make no mistake about it, anybody that thinks that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch don't want to be made right by they traded heaven and earth to go get this guy. There's nobody that wants him to be successful more than Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. Right. How often do people say, who is Kyle Shanahan ever, he has elevated a couple of guys, but who is he really grown from nothing and built? What quarterbacks has he built? And I would make the argument RG3, Kirk Cousins is the quarterback he is because of Kyle Shanahan. Even Kirk Cousins has said that and so on and so forth. But there's that kind of out there that you can't, what's the word I'm looking for? Not progress, build up a quarterback. I can't think of the right word. Develop. You can't develop a quarterback, right? And it's like, there's nobody on the planet that wants Trey Lance to be a superstar more than Kyle Shanahan. You want to talk about his ego? That's about the biggest ego boost you can get is look at this raw product that I took and made him a superstar. So I don't understand the people that are having that kind of a narrative that he wants to get rid of Trey Lance or that he wants Brock Purdy to succeed. No, he doesn't. He wants Trey Lance to be the guy.
He wants a quarterback to succeed, whether it's Trey or Brock. But he does.
He is willing to be successful. He is willing to ride with Brock because Brock has showed it on the field that he can do the simple stuff and make an extra play here or there. That's all Brock did. He did all the simple stuff, and every once in a while he'd get out of there and make a quick little play. And that's what Kyle Shanahan at the end of the day wants. Everybody wants Patrick Mahomes. There's only one of those guys. You can't have him. Okay. So what can you do? Well, I can go get a guy that can run my offense at a high level, make the right reads, and every once in a while when a play's not there or a guy misses a block, he can get out of there and make something happen with the ball. So I really don't understand a lot of the narrative. So back to what I said initially. If Sam Darnold does really well, if Brock Purdy is back to throwing and everything is good in the offseason, there's a chance that Trey Lance gets traded during the preseason, right? So if there's a team out there that has an injury in preseason to their quarterback, or they drafted a young guy, and that guy gets hurt or isn't, just not there, maybe you see somebody go after for a future pick for Trey Lance. You're not going to see him get traded before that. Larry Kruger, he's one of the guys that's been really on Trey Lance. He's like, if they could trade Trey Lance for Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't do it. And I call me crazy. I agree. I wouldn't do it either.
Crazy. Y'all crazy.
My only thing with Lamar Jackson is two things. Number one, he hasn't finished the season in 2 years. He's consistently banged up. So how many games am I going to get from him? That's my first concern. And similar with Trey Lance, kind of, because he hasn't played very many games. He's gotten banged up almost every game. But the other issue with Lamar Jackson is you have to have a very specific type of offense for him to be successful. And it may be that Greg Roman was not capable of elevating himself and his play calls and his offense to a level that Lamar Jackson is capable of. We saw the same thing happen with Kaepernick, where he came out gangbusters. And I was the first person that was like, after that game, when Colin Kaepernick put up 400 against Green Bay in week 1 of 2013, I was like, it's a wrap. The league it's done. The man has no weaknesses. The rest of it's over with. Kaepernick is, y'all better get ready. And it didn't work out. And I don't know if that's because Kaepernick never really developed, the touch and anticipation kind of thing, or is it because Greg Roman wasn't good enough to elevate his scheme and his quarterback? So maybe Lamar Jackson is actually kind of being held back by that same thing. That's possible, but I just don't see. I see Lamar Jackson as being an extremely talented quarterback, but again, I don't see him making the easy things look easy enough. I don't see it consistently with him making the simple stuff and the easy stuff look easy. So that's kind of my concern with Lamar Jackson is if you compile the fact that the NFL is undefeated, name one mobile quarterback that has not been injured in the last 2 or 3 years. Not Patrick Mahomes is not even a running quarterback. He gets hurt. Herbert's been hurt and played through terrible injuries. Even Burrow got an ACL. There's not a single quarterback in the NFL who runs regularly who did not get hurt.
Justin Fields missed
everybody.
Due to injury.
Everybody.
I think those are great points, Shunter Boy. I'm going to have to get you off and get to the next caller, man. But, of course, I appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you as always. Keep doing it, Croc. Like and subscribe, y'all.
Yeah, like and subscribe like my dog said, man. Real quick, I did have a couple comments that I wanted to start here. Jeep Crack Hawk, he says, really don't think Patrick Mahomes will be the same under Shanahan. I think that's an interesting take that I actually echoed those same sentiments on Locked On 49ers, myself, Brian Peacock. Make sure y'all tune into that. But I said it like I think Kyle is so much of a control freak. And I think sometimes, again, you just want him to do the simple things. And I think early on, even Patrick Mahomes, like that wasn't quite his thing. And I thought that Andy Reid had to really let go. Andy Reid had to really let go and just say, you know what? I'm just gonna let you do your thing. And I'm gonna let you just be you. And that's where he flourished. But if a lot of people forget, man, and I'll have to look up these articles, but there were articles early on being written on Patrick Mahomes in his first training camp as the full-time starter where he was struggling. He was throwing a lot of interceptions. He was doing a lot of those things. And the writers were like, we don't know about this Mahomes kid. He went on to win the NFL MVP. So, got to take the good with the bad sometimes. Some of these guys as they look to develop. All right. And Mahomes was my guy, too. I think I've said this a bunch of times where I'm like, man, I thought he was the most talented quarterback in that class. That's who I would have taken 2017. Most talented. A lot of these offenses, man, is you try to pigeonhole yourself into, man, forget the offense, man. Like, can the guy do everything that you need him to do? Papa Dragon, welcome to the show. How you doing? Uh-oh, you're on mute. And are you about to go mining? Because you got the little light on your head. But I think you're still on, you're not on mute, but I don't hear your sound. We got Miguel saying that my volume is too low. Okay, hold on, man. I'll turn my volume up. Hopefully, I can adjust that. I think on my settings when I do the live audio. I thought my volume was too loud, so I kind of lowered it a little bit. But we still don't got Papa Dragon. Papa Dragon, I'm gonna send you to the backstage, and you can figure that part out, and then we'll get everybody else going. All right. So here we go. Terror Dome, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
My man, how you been, man? How you been? It's been a long time.
It has been, but we back, man. We back, and we back for good too, man. I'm excited to be.
Congratulations! I've been checking you out. You still a man. It's all about Eric Crocker. I've been trying to get your deal with them Crocs, man.
I appreciate. Look, man. Shoes. I'm wearing them right. I'm wearing them right now. Come on, Croc. Stop playing with me.
Hey, everybody need to look at Croc, man. Croc got the Crocs. Get that man this paper. Get that man this paper.
I love that shirt you got on. And for those of you who will be listening to the audio on Apple, Spotify, whatever, my guy Terror Dome has a Nothing But Niners shirt on. And I love it, man. Those are my guys. Shout out to my guy Mike Andrews. Those were the guys that kind of really introduced me to this space of talking live on football, man. So shout out to my guys, Nothing But Niners.
Me too, man. I call them the mothership. The mothership. Nothing But Niners, man. Wayne Breezy and Big Mike and all of them, man.
Yeah.
I still follow them, but you're doing big things, Mr. Croc. You're doing big things. I chimed in because you had a real interesting take about Brandon Aiyuk. I was thinking Eric Armstead, but from my understanding, it would hurt us in terms of dead money or salary cap
because of restructures.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
I think it was restructured. But so here's my thing, right? On why I would trade them. First of all, I really don't care to trade away good players. But when you look at kind of the situation 49ers are in, and then eventually you're going to have to pay Brandon Aiyuk. right now his value is as high as it will ever be. Right? Like this is the highest his value will be, unless he just goes out and has another 1,200-yard season as the fourth option. But that's a little risky, right? So right now, while he has 2 years left on his contract, this fourth year right now, and you have the fifth-year option. I think for him coming off of the year he had as the fourth option, having 1,000-yard receiving yards, 1,000 receiving yards, his value is the highest it'll be. Where I think you can legitimately get a first-round pick for him. And for the 49ers that have some of these holes, whether it's edge rusher, whether it's and we'll get to edge rusher maybe on the next episode.
Right
But
tackle.
whether it's edge rusher or offensive tackle, right? Like you can say, oh man, I want an edge rusher or offensive tackle in the third round. You got all these picks. You typically don't find good edge rushers and offensive tackles in the third, fourth, fifth round. Like you just typically do not. Now I know 49ers have been really good with identifying talent late in drafts, but typically you don't see that. Those guys go in the first round. And you can get them at any point in the first round. Even if you trade with the New York Giants, pick 25 overall, and maybe, package some picks, like some there we go. Okay, got Terradon back. And package some picks and get move a little bit closer into the top 15 or 16 or whatever. But you're not getting typically, I'm not saying it just won't happen, but if you look around the league and you look at all pro teams and pro bowlers, how many times is a guy drafted third, fourth, fifth round in all pro at offensive tackle or defensive end? Very rare. Now, you have Max Crosby, who's doing his thing, but so far, as long as I can remember back, he's an outlier. He's an outlier in the sense of an edge rusher that played at that type of level being drafted later. So that's why I look at it, man. And again, you have an opportunity to move on from Aiyuk, who is your fourth option, but could be somebody else's first option, and get a lot of capital, kind of reset the rookie contract or a big rookie contract, and go ahead and get that edge or tackle that you might really need, depending on how you view Drake Jackson. And again, we'll talk about that on another episode.
And you think about it too. I was thinking about how we pick up the production in terms of if we lost to Brandon Aiyuk. Ray McLeod really showed me a little something this year.
Yeah.
I think that with the addition of Danny Gray, it could feasibly be done because of just how Kyle Shanahan lends himself to the offensive game plan and his dexterity and how he uses a little bit of everybody in a gumbo, if you will, sometimes. Hey, brother, I lead the Brock Purdy parade. I am all.
You do. I've seen you. I've seen you on social media.
Mr. Brock Purdy. And I will say it right now. And please do not get it twisted. Don't get it misinformed. Don't get it any other way. That young man showed me something in that time span, just like Jerry West saw Kobe early. You ain't got to show me too much. That's the best daggone ball player I done seen in 20 years. And I'll tell you
Kobe
what, step right in. Was
Kobe or Brock?
Poised, ready to go from snap.
Wait, Terradome. Hold on. Terradome. You said the best player you've seen in 20 years. Are you talking about Kobe Bryant or Brock Purdy?
No. When Jerry West saw Kobe Bryant.
Oh, okay.
It didn't take him 5 years to watch him. He saw it in 15 or 20 minutes, and he said, shut the workout down right now. That's the best daggone ball player I done seen in 20 or 30 years. I'm getting him. I know Charlotte's got the pick, but he'll be a LA Laker before it's all over. It don't take me this large sample size. Everybody who's talking about, well, we need to see a little more. He might be Nick Mullins. He might be this guy. He might be No. What you saw is what's real.
He's just a winner.
With an aesthetic, he can make plays. He's poised. He was ready to go. And when Christian McCaffrey got here, this young man tutored Christian McCaffrey so that he could hit the field in 2 days. McCaffrey
Hold on, I got the air horns.
Don't go by what the media might say. I listen to these players, man. I listen to players, coaches, and front office folks. And they will tell you to a man, hey, he came in here, man. He told Trent Williams in the huddle, hey, you need to shut the F up. I'm running this huddle right now.
Hey, man, anybody that gets Terradome to
Our points went from 22 a game to 33 and up to 41 with Brock Purdy. It's something different about him, man. He's processing it quicker. He puts that left hand right over that left foot, and he's letting go of that release, and he holds that thing like an aesthetic watching Joe Montana back in the days. Not saying he is, but I see a lot of similarities in him and Drew Brees' and Tom Brady's throwing aesthetic. A mechanic that Trey Lance is working on now with the great Jeff Christensen, who's Patrick Mahomes' throwing coach. I urge that early with Trey Lance, get obsessed about your mechanics because they came after Kaepernick about that. If your mechanics aren't tight, if you aren't obsessed, I mean, to the point of borderline obsession about your mechanics and the specifics and everything that goes with it, this league will eat you, son. It don't care how talented you are, what you ran in the 40, how big, how tall, how smooth, your car, your shine, your chains, your girl, or what neighborhood you came from. If those mechanics ain't tight, they coming after you. And they and you know it's real, you know it's 100, just like I do. You can like them all you want, but those mechanics better be tight because they're gonna pull you apart. My man in Baltimore got an MVP and nobody's coming to him and saying, hey, here's 230 guaranteed. The league tells you what they think of you by how they come at you with that money.
Yeah, that's real, man. Hey, Terradome,
they tell you.
I was gonna say, man, I appreciate you coming on. I gotta get to the next caller.
Gotcha.
But that's great stuff right there. Shout out to my guy, Terradome, coming on. And they're lucky I don't got the gunshots. I got the air horn, I got the applause, I got the little drum set. I want the gunshot. Bow, pow, 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 pow. Because definitely the way he came on here and he was, you know what I'm saying? Okay, Brock Purdy, he deserved the gunshots. I'm going to have to get some of those. We're going to see what our next caller deserves, man. CJ, how you doing, bro?
Can you hear me, Croc?
Yep, I got you.
All right, man. I just came on because I seen you on this morning. I ain't seen you in a while. And so I just wanted to be like, what's up, man? Congrats on winning the fan tournament and stuff like that.
Thank
you so strong, man. You won't even on. and you won that thing, man. That's something else.
Well, I still technically on. I do Locked On 49ers, and that's every day. That's 5 days a week. And you guys can find out on any streaming platform you listen to. But as far as my own platform, I was away. But we are back. Got it right here live on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, you can hear this whole thing on any streaming platform that you listen to. Apple, Spotify, whatever it is. It should be on here shortly after we end this episode.
All right. I'm just going to touch on Terradome because Terradome is real hype about Brock Purdy.
Uh-oh.
And hello?
Yeah. No, we're listening. I'm listening.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, okay. You said, uh-oh. I thought maybe I dropped off or some craziness.
I said, uh-oh, because
I
I hear like the tone of your voice, and there's kind of this disagreement.
Yeah. You're very perceptive, Croc. I like Brock, and I like what I saw in that time period that he was out there, but he played 8 games. I mean, and then he's also got injured, and he's got this injury that doesn't really have a long track record of guys getting this injury in football and then coming back from it. So I think there's only a couple other guys, notably like Jake Delhomme and Nick Mullins, that had an elbow issue and then eventually came back from it. So there's not a lot of history on that injury and people coming back. And then he also had a weaker arm to begin with.
So real quick, CJ.
And so you're just questioning how is he going to come back from that?
Yeah, is your take more so on what he actually did on the field, or is it the uncertainty with his injury?
it's a little combination of everything, because I think he did well, but I just see some of his physical limitations, and I just don't know if the league will catch up to some of those things and some of his tendencies. And then when you add the injury on top of it, it just creates more uncertainty. And so I just kind of like to wait and see, because right now with that injury, we don't know if he's going to come back week 1. And so that should create an opportunity for Trey Lance, who we also don't know a whole lot about. We've only seen him for like 4 games, and we don't know in totality what he can do. And or working on in this offseason, he is working out with Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if he can get some tips or get a plan or training regimen or something like that that's going to help him be better with that short passing game and have better timing with that, because that's really the only thing that's keeping Trey Lance from being able to take the hold of the starting role, is being able to hit those short timing patterns with consistency and within rhythm. And right now he struggles with that, and that's the strong part of what our offense is all about. And if you can't do those things, it makes it hard to look at you being successful on this offense. But on the flip side, if he can do those things, now potentially he has a much higher upside than Brock Purdy. So I just don't know if it's just cut and dry that Brock is the guy, and Terradome's in there putting Joe Montana in the
Well,
Joe
Terradome,
Montana
we're
in the
gonna bring
center and stuff
Terradome
like
back
that.
on, and I know he
I just
mentioned
don't
Joe
know about
Montana.
all of that, man. And I'm not discrediting Brock. I'm just saying that there's more variables that's in it, where you just can't come to a conclusion that this is the guy. He's going to be the quarterback and he's going to be great. I just think it's too premature for that.
Has any other rookie quarterback in the history of the NFL had a better success rate than Brock Purdy?
No, you're exactly right about that. And go ahead.
So just going. Sometimes we just look at a guy's rookie year, and we have to just do our projection on if he did this in his rookie year. Imagine when the guy actually gets it. Imagine when the guy learns where everything's at. Imagine when the guy really ingrains and gets this thing like the back of his hand. He's going to elevate a little bit. Another thing, man, we're throwing comparisons at it. Jimmy G had the exact same personnel, the exact play calls, everything in when we played Miami. And this kid went in there staring down blitzes. And let me tell you, man, I followed my boy Phillips. Jalen Phillips comes from the U. I'm all about the U. I ain't got my stuff up. But them boys were barreling down on Brock Purdy that day. He was changing arm angles. He did a little skip to Malou, getting out of trouble and getting first downs for us in Seattle. When they threw that play in Seattle, when we went on the road to Seattle, and he threw that old Bill Walsh play where you fake left, fake right, and hit Kittle down the middle. Had we seen anything like that with Jimmy Garoppolo or any quarterback under the Kyle Shanahan system? Brock Purdy has twice as many victories in the playoffs, in the postseason, as Justin Herbert, who we consider, oh my God, that's a franchise quarterback. Everybody, oh my God, Justin Herbert. No, the great Lamar Jackson, he would love to have 2 victories in the playoffs like the great Brock Purdy. Man, sometimes the Bible says sometimes it's manna from heaven. It falls and literally translates to what is it? It's food. Sometimes it just drops in your lap, but we are steadily dismissing, saying, well, no, it can't be because it just ain't, we always mess up the quarterback. We always, you talking yourself out of it. When I was a young single man back in the days, sometimes, man, all you had to do was shut up. The girl was going to get with you, but you can talk yourself out.
I've done it.
We're talking ourselves out of what is there. It is there. We got the guy. Secondly to that, and to bolster that, man, I'm hoping Trey Lance will pick up on those mechanics, get obsessed with it, and make his development and come in and spell it for a little while. I think he is better than Sam Darnold. Everybody's better than Josh Johnson, right? I think we can attest and agree. He can take that's what a 7th round guy looks like. A guy that can't take the snap and fumbling stuff all around. It looked like he's supposed to use lotion and he used Novocaine in his hands or something. That's what a 7th round guy. This guy came in, Brock Purdy came in here against the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, against Tampa Bay. Tom Brady with 84,214 touchdowns, 84,214 yards, 649 touchdowns, 10 Super Bowl appearances, and 7 wins in the Super Bowl, and put 28 unanswered against them. He resurged George Kittle. We thought George Kittle was on the back of a milk box. George Kittle, all of a sudden now, that argument is back on. Who's best, George Kittle or Kelsey? Oh, I really don't know. I don't know. Because of the resurgence of Brock Purdy and throwing it downfield. Brandon Aiyuk has been 1,000-yard guy. He was supposed to be 1,000-yard guy. He didn't get that 1,000 yards till Brock Purdy showed up.
All right. Hey, Terra Dope, I appreciate you coming on. CJ, I appreciate you coming on as well. I'm going to get both of y'all off here and get Papa Dragon back on before we close the show off, man. But I appreciate both of y'all.
All right, man.
God bless.
All right. Shout out to those two guys there. That was fun. We got DeSean right here with the super chat, and he says, Mullen set records with less weapons. Don't forget. And, he did. I think it's, what is it, no quarterback, or I think there's only like 2 quarterbacks that have thrown for more yards in their first 16 starts than Nick Mullins. And that's with a lot of George Kittle. He didn't have CMC. I would like to see, I don't know, maybe y'all can tell me, would it make a difference if Trey Lance had Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle? I think Kittle's only started 1 game while Trey Lance was playing, and they won. They beat the Houston Texans. Didn't have a bunch of yards. I think he had a couple catches or whatever. Nothing too crazy, but can you get see Trey Lance with Christian McCaffrey? What would that look like? All right, here we go. We got Papa Dragon coming on. Papa Dragon, how's that audio?
Hey, what's up? Is it working?
Oh yeah, we got you. You. Again, I asked the question earlier. Are you about to go gold mining? Is that what that's for? Or
No, man. I got this mess I'm working on right here.
Okay, yeah, I know you do your computer stuff. Okay, for sure.
Yeah, I'm doing that at the moment, building a VR box for my girls. So anyway, I just want to continue the conversation with Terradome. I think the first thing I want to go ahead and say is that I love Brock Purdy, love his game. I love the selection of Trey Lance. I don't love his game, and his game needs to improve. I do believe his instincts are all wrong, and I think that Brock Purdy had a lot of good instincts, but make no mistake about it, I did predict that he would get injured. And the reason why I predicted that is because he is of smaller stature, and the NFL hits, especially.
But do you think that his stature is the reason why he got hurt, or is that something that could just the way he got hit?
Like, no, another one of his flaws was that sometimes he doesn't let the ball go. He pauses, probably about 38% of the time. There's a delay in his delivery of the ball, so he's starting to ad-lib a little bit. Run out the back door to the left instinctively. I think there wasn't a lot of confidence on the right side of that line, rightfully so. I do believe that there's quite a few things we have not seen yet from Purdy, but to compare him to Joe Montana is just lunacy. No one should be compared to Joe Montana, not even Tom Brady, because Joe played in a league where it was legal to hit the quarterback in the head. It was legal to go low on the quarterback. It was legal to fall on the quarterback. It was legal to hit receivers across the middle. That was a different NFL than what it is today. Period. So, in my opinion, that conversation right there needs to stop. The thing that I would like to raise to the 49er faithful is patience. And no one wants patience. We want to anoint someone after 5 games like Jimmy Garoppolo or after 8 games with Brock Purdy, where we haven't seen the complete game yet. Okay? When I mean the complete game is Brock Purdy doesn't have the strongest arm. How is he going to perform in windy situations, bad weather situations, situations where defenses can scheme for him to force him to throw the ball outside the numbers more? We have not seen that yet. Number 2, Brock Purdy is not working on his mechanics right now. He's not improving his game physically right now because he's rehabbing. You don't get better when you rehab. And you need to get better each season. So I think those are reasons to pause. I think it's really unfair to Brock Purdy that the 49ers are, number 1, anointing him starter, and they don't even know if he can throw the ball yet. That's just putting unnecessary pressure on him. It's kind of like drafting somebody with a bad knee, giving them the number 99 and saying, here you go, you're starting. It's not putting someone in the best situation to succeed.
I see what you did there.
See what I did there? So I think overall the pause button should be pressed for Brock Purdy, because I think the number one thing is that, and he said it himself in the interview, I'm worried about my health right now, just getting back healthy. I'm not worried about starting, because he's got to get healthy first, then he's got to prepare for the season, and then he's got to play in the season. Now, you and I both know that if he comes back too soon and his arm doesn't look the same, the ball doesn't come out the right way, it's not coming out the same velocity or less, and he can't really afford to lose any velocity. The fans are going to turn on him in a heartbeat. You know, kind of like the situation with Trey Lance, which everyone has basically said everything from his inexperience to his all year round tan. There's just so many different things.
His hairline.
Exactly. The hairline. There's so many different things that people want to talk about. And I did lose my hair like that, though. Like Trey Lance lost his, and it was a vitamin deficiency and rest. So my hair came back, but I did lose it exactly the same way.
So we gotta get Trey some of your vitamins.
You got to do something. But ultimately, as far as both go, you know, I am a 49er supporter. You know, I'm not gonna jump on a bandwagon. I'm all for who gives us the best chance to win. Even if it's Sam Darnold. Now, again, I don't see it, but I'll be real right now. I don't see a Super Bowl quarterback in our quarterback room right now. I just don't see it. I just don't.
You know, they got the, you know, again, Super Bowl quarterbacks, and I think sometimes, especially with some of the great ones, you might just see it right away. But I would say if there's any hope that guys can develop into a guy that you win because of, and not like, oh man, we had to mask this guy, Tom Brady. And you go back and you look, and again, that's an extreme case of a guy that consistently won, right? But early on, we watch how they want to win, right? Like, it's like, hey, let's hand the ball off to these backs. Let's play this really good defense. Let's have Vinatieri kick a bunch of game-winning field goals, right? Like, it wasn't like Brady had to do everything. But then once, you know, years down the line, that experience, and Tom Brady turned into be just this guy that could will you to that. So when we look at the guys right now, in the 49ers quarterback room, Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, whoever, I would say, yes, I agree with you in the sense of there isn't that guy. But down the line, could one of those guys develop into it through hard work and obviously ability that we've seen, especially from Brock Purdy? I would say yeah.
But not in San Francisco. Let me tell you why. When someone shows you who they are, they tell you who you are, sometimes you need to believe them. When San Francisco made the move for Hargraves, okay, now it's their first big splash, I was like this, because I'm thinking we need offensive line help, we need a quarterback. And then they doubled down at the owners' meetings basically saying, oh, well, you know, it's about the quarterback room and about the rookie salary. They literally said that. So they don't value the quarterback position like they do other people. The position that's valued on the 49ers is Kyle Shanahan because he believes that he can get points out of anyone. And that's his ultimate belief.
Do you think do you think that'd be like his ultimate downfall?
Absolutely. It's absolutely his ultimate downfall because if you look at what you design on a whiteboard and then what happens on the grass is two different things. You see what I'm saying? Because he can sit there and he can scheme someone open all day long. Okay? But is it wise for you? And I asked this question to what's his name? Forget his name. But he's the big Brock Purdy fanboy, the YouTuber. Kruger?
Yeah, Larry Kruger.
Larry Kruger. I asked him, Larry, and he was talking, I said, Larry, who's the best tight end in the NFL? And he said, without too much hesitation, he said, Kelsey. I said, excellent. Would you tell Kelsey to go block number 97, 101? Go block Bosa 101. And he said, no. Well, we did that with a receiver who wasn't even active the week before, with the backup tight end. And now you're telling me you got the best tight end in the game and you wouldn't send him up 101 against Bosa. And what I'm saying is that when defensive players watch film, they watch for tendencies. And they know that if there's a certain tendency, if there's a certain drop, I'm going. I don't care about the fake. I'm going straight at the quarterback. And that's exactly how he got injured. And now defensive players see that they're going to ignore the motions, they're going to ignore the fakes, and go right after the quarterback because he may pause because of his inexperience, right? Because if he'd thrown the ball on time, he probably wouldn't have gotten hurt. He might have got hit, and it might have been a touchdown to Aiyuk, but he threw the ball like fractions of a second late, right? But as a coach, you have to put your players in a position to succeed. You should know that sometimes he's throwing the ball late. So maybe I max protect on that side. You see what I'm saying? Maybe I don't put a tight end on that one guy if I'm going to do a 7-step drop early in the game, right? Because he's trying to surprise them. But they don't care about surprises. This is a team with 80 sacks. They don't care about surprises. They're going to go hit the quarterback. And I do believe that maybe if he was taller, maybe the hit would have been lower. I don't know. I'm just saying that his small stature getting hit full speed by 250, 300-pound guys is just not a good combination. Now, moving forward, I don't know what Brock Purdy is going to be this year because he's not able to work on his game. I was hoping he could work on his game. I wanted to see a performance jump. Like, I saw a performance jump in Mac Jones. I don't like Mac Jones, but I'll give credit where credit. He worked on his body. His arm got stronger. He was throwing more heat on his passes. He was a better thrower of the football. Just wasn't better mentally and better in the leadership department. So we're not going to see that with Purdy. He has all the intangibles. He has some pretty cool skills. But I'll be honest with you. I really do think that he's just a slightly better version of Nick Mullins. And as he comes against better defenses like Dallas, you're going to see that all of a sudden 30 points is going to turn into 19 points or 18 points, right? And if you get to a situation where defense doesn't matter, which is what we'll see with the AFC opponent for sure, because we're going to see a top-notch offense. We're going to see a top offensive line, okay? Because remember, Hargraves had no sacks in the Super Bowl. Nick Bosa hadn't sacked in forever. You know, you're going to see a situation as the teams get tougher for Shanahan with better coaching and things like that. Shanahan continues to just, I call him, he's like the Mike McGlinchey of coaching. When Shanahan is coaching, it's awesome. When he's doing his business, things is working, it's awesome. But when Shanahan makes a mistake or he overlooks something, it's glaring, right? Yeah. So never in my life have I seen a football team lose 4 quarterbacks in a season. And we saw that NFC Championship game. So when people sit there and say, oh, Brock Purdy was in the game, we would have won. I don't know. I thought that the game plan was flawed because another quarterback got injured. So your game plan overall was flawed, but maybe it's not just a game plan. Maybe it's the philosophy that I don't need a top-notch offensive line. I don't need a top-notch quarterback. I'm Kyle Shanahan. I can make this work myself.
I think
that's my defensive line.
That's ultimately going to be the. I think that's the part right there, right, where as it pertains to, let's say, Trey Lance,
Right.
and wanting to pass over on the development of him and the heights that he could potentially take this offense to, because Kyle Shanahan and people from his staff had said the quarterback doesn't make the offense makes the quarterback. And I think that's going to ultimately, just because they think that way, right? I tell you right now, Andy Reid, as smart as he is, he's probably saying, yeah, I know some stuff, but Patrick Mahomes makes this damn offense, right? And he's kind of free up the reins to where you could do it. And again, I think it's easy right now. It's easy right now to say, well, Patrick Mahomes, well, Kyle will let him be that. And it's like, I don't think so, because what it took you have to really get out of your own way and let a guy mess up.
Right.
And Kyle's not really for that. But Papa Dragon, man, I appreciate you coming on live. A lot of great stuff. Shout out to everybody else that came on as well. Oh, go ahead.
One last thing. I just want to let everyone know that I'm not concerned about Brock Purdy. I'm not concerned about Trey Lance. I'm not concerned about Sam Darnold. And if Lamar Jackson was on his team, or Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't be concerned about them. We need to be concerned about the most dangerous man in the NFL who's caused the most injuries, and that's Kyle Shanahan. I'm out.
Ooh, that was a bar. Do we gotta hit the ooh, that was a bar right there. He said he's not concerned with Trey Lance. He's not concerned with Brock Purdy. He's not concerned with if 49ers had Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson. He is concerned with the guy that's getting everybody hurt, Kyle Shanahan. Ooh wee. That might be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, because I think we view Kyle Shanahan in such high regards, but he is not without his own kind of I guess like issues that he kind of has, man. It's tough. It's tough. We gotta see how all that's gonna play out. I do want to say thank you to everyone that tuned in. Again, this is kind of the first episode of the Eric Crocker Show. All right, it ain't the morning show, it ain't whatever else. This is the Eric Crocker Show. I hope everybody tunes in tonight to my Los Angeles Lakers. They got the play-in game. I see the jokes from all you Warrior fans out there. I see the jokes and all that, but I'm excited to see my Lakers play against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We will be back. Tomorrow? Right, tomorrow. And I'm going to try to bring on a prospect that met with the San Francisco 49ers and see, if we can start to get some insight on draft prospects, draft picks, all that type of stuff, and who the 49ers might be interested in. But hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll be back right here tomorrow. Peace.